Hello and welcome to another Six Sages Gaming Dragoborne deck spotlight. If you're a fan of red deck wins or very hasty, aggro-y, beat your opponent down as soon as possible decks, this is absolutely the one for you. This is a slightly modified list of the one that won Australia qualifier, I believe it was, and it's the one we featured in our last duel series, and Dom and Matt have just absolutely loved this list. And again, I want to remind people that the one defense that they have really don't matter that much because you really just want to swarm the board, and every time your opponent tries to block, they do have to rest that creature. So you only get one block per guy. So being able to have 6 attackers every turn is very relevant and exactly what this deck wants to be doing. And then you'll see it does splash green for some ambush and anti-ambush, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So without further ado, let's get right into the aggressive creatures. So the renowned Bladesmith, this has been an absolute favorite for quite some time. Yes, it does have the ability, you have to siphon 1 when it comes into play, so there is a cost beyond the 1 that you have to pay, but it's a 2/1, great for attacking. And what's interesting about it is that when it dies, it deals 1 damage to all opposing creatures and Drago shields. This is important because the green decks are going to be playing things like Fleetwing Sprite. Maybe you're going against another red deck that has all these other 1-drops. It's a very good card in a lot of matchups and can combo fairly well with other cards. So something that we always recommend playing. For Goblin Toestabber, just great for being able to ping a shield, be aggressive. Highlands Rogue is one that hasn't been getting a lot of love, but one that we do really like, although its effect can be a little hard to pull off when you want to. But whenever it attacks a fort, and if something's already attacked, so say your other 2 creatures that we just mentioned, it becomes a 3/3, because it gets +2/+2. Now, if you put a dice on it, it becomes a 4/4, and that's where it's really key in being able to battle through some of your opponent's creatures that they're going to be playing early, which is just big enough to get past them, like Kingslayer Bee, which we're going to be talking about in a minute, and is played in, well, every green deck, so it helps get past those cards. And then we have 4 Goblin Madcap as well, rounding out the 1-drops. Just an interesting card because you always want to have it on defense because when it dies, it gets to deal 3 damage to a Drago shield, help clear the way. So it's a card that makes your opponent have to think twice about attacking because they're going to lose a shield if you block with it, and then makes your attacking that much easier. So another card that's very interesting. Getting into some of our more quality drops, the 2 through 4 curve, we have 2-drop Carefree Orc. Another card that's just an absolute staple in most decks that play red, even the more mid-range decks, as we just talked about, being able to ping for 1 damage is very interesting, and this also combos very well with Sahrg, that you can attack with him, let him do his thing, attack with Carefree Orc, ping your own guy, have him then deal 1 damage to everything else again. It can often kill some guys for you. It can help clear out a shield. It's just a lot of interesting little things that you can do with it in this deck. And you'll also see that there's other ways like Will of Steel and Doomfire Avatar that have ways to deal damage, and that helps you get that 1 extra damage you need. So as we just talked about, Will of Steel, or Glauce is how you say that, it is a mono fire dream. When you summon it, you get to choose a creature and burn it for however many red creatures you have. It has an interesting cross effect, which doesn't really come up all that much, but as we just talked about, we want to spam the field, get all these 1-drops, play this. We're often hitting something for 5 or 6, which is going to be killing our opponent's more mid-range threats, and she's a 2/3, which really isn't terrible stat-wise, considering she'll become a 3/4 on attack, and again, that 4 defense is a sweet number for aggro decks. Then we have 2 Vylon, which is a card that I was surprised not to see more copies of in this list, because you can play like a machine gun red build where you play him on turn 2. You can just drop a bunch of 1-drops from your hand and ping a shield for 2 every single time, and then get in a bunch of damage. So this is a card that we just might not have enough red creatures right now, but both of these last 2 that I mentioned, I would absolutely recommend picking up playsets as we go into set 2 and we get more red cards. I fully expect this deck to get a huge buff in playability in the next set as we get more red creatures. Lastly, if you guys watch our videos, you know how much I just absolutely love Doomfire Avatar. Play it in aggro decks, play it in mid-range decks, play it in control decks. It is a all-around, and I dare say it's one of the best rares out of set 1, because it is such a versatile card and allows you to switch gears when you need it to. And again, just playing this early when your opponent has perhaps a red fang that they're trying to accelerate with, and you just kill it for value. The card does everything, and it's a dragon, so why not? It is an absolute powerhouse, and recommend getting 4 of these as soon as you can. Of course, who doesn't love more dragons? We have Fafneer and Izarco. Fafneer is a great, more aggressive card because when it comes in play, it can kill something, will deal feel life to it, which is often going to kill it, and destroy a Drago shield, basically guaranteeing a point of damage. And then we have Izarco, which is, funny enough, probably the best double R out of the first set, and it came out of the Alpha Dominance trial deck. So I do love how they made this card just widely accessible for everybody. And it's probably appeared in the most lists worldwide in terms of, again, the aggro decks are playing it as 4 of, the control decks are playing it as a 4 of as a way to combat the aggro decks, and then the cross effect is just insane. So when it dies, you get to deal 7 damage, split up how you choose again. So overall, just a beautiful card, and I love the artwork too. It's one of my favorites as well. And then we have our spells. So a 2 of Goblin-made Avalanche is just really great for against the aggro decks, being able to deal 3 damage to a 4. It's likely going to kill everything there that you need it to. And then we have 4 Pyroblast, which is the reason to run more than one color or one banner of red, for example. So you have 2 red banners, 2 red dice, so you can increase the opportunities that you're going to get 5 or 6, which is really important for Pyroblast and can be a complete blowout. Now, to be fair, that does cut you off from a potential 3rd color and also sideboarding options. Yes, you could still put in, say, low-risk cards and have a chance to get them into your resource zone. It's just not going to be as consistent. And there's also other cards that are going to say, you know, roll a 1 or 2. So those cards as well want you to have multiple dice. So it's not always about rolling high or always rolling low. It really depends on the cards themselves. So it's very important to pay attention to in deck building. And again, Pyroblast is the reason to have 2 red banners in this deck. And then lastly, we have the green splash, which is really about anti-ambush, because Mischievous Sprite and Eleanor have just been insane. And these are, again, the auto-include for green. And as you can see here, sometimes you're just splashing green for them. So if you need to control your opponent and ambushes, if they have like death traps and stuff like that, you just need to have answers to them because you might just die otherwise. Or EMP is another very popular one. So Mischievous Sprite and Eleanor really help against that. And then we have 4 Kingslayer Bee because you can play it for 2. If they try to attack, you can flip it, tap down another attacker. You get to maybe block and kill something, or you just have another attacker that your opponent wasn't expecting. It's a very versatile card again, and surprising that it's only an uncommon for how good it is and how often it is played. Again, this is another card that is an automatic 4 of in every green deck. So that is the red green Blitz aggro deck, you will, if I'm calling it. It's an absolute blast to play. So again, if you are looking to burn down your opponent as fast as possible, and you really just want to be aggressive with your creatures, this is absolutely the list for you. And again, because a lot of it comes from either trial decks or is just easy to obtain cards, this is a very cheap deck to build. Honestly, if you buy singles out, that's gonna be the better route to go. But if you were to just, you know, piece this out, or if you bought some trial decks, probably can get the entire deck for $60 or less. I would put it in the more budget category compared to the other lists that we've either covered already or have talked about, at least on the channel. So give that some consideration as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, make sure to drop it a like. That really does help us out. Comment down below what kind of decks you want to see next, or if you want to see your deck featured, shoot us a message on Facebook. We're more than happy to engage with the community and get more deck ideas out there. And of course, subscribe for future Dragoborne content. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next Dragoborne Deck Spotlight. Have a good one. This video made possible thanks to the Patreon support of viewers such as yourself. Thank you to our honorary sages.